Hey guys, welcome to InRange. This might be a brief one, but it's an interesting one to me. I use a lot of Wolf ammunition, ARs, AKs, everything because, well, it's cheap. And when you shoot a lot, money matters. This stuff adds up. Well, recently, I don't know how recently, months ago, a certain time ago, Wolf went from a standard, steel case. They've always had steel case, but the bullet used to be copper colored. It was bimetal, but ostensibly copper jacketed with some sort of steel particulate in it. It would track the magnet. However, it was bimetal. And then recently they've changed and the bullets actually have this silver color. So the jacket on the bullet, the projectile itself, has changed. Don't know why, but it did. And a lot of matches in general, a lot of matches in our area prohibit the use of Wolf ammunition entirely because it will attract a magnet, whether the bullet is silver colored or copper colored or anything. If it'll attract a magnet, you're not allowed to use it. Generally speaking, the rationale behind that is that if it's bimetal, it's more likely to cause damage to the steel, as well as if it attracts a magnet, it may very well be AP ammo, armor piercing, and that could be the case with brass cased ammunition as well. So if it attracts a magnet, they just exclude it entirely. I get it, it makes sense, I understand the logic. Some ranges also have a concern about fire hazard, in which bimetal or steel cased or steel jacketed bullets may spark differently than a copper jacketed bullet and could start a fire. I've been running the 2-gun or 2G ACM match for over a decade down near Tucson, and we don't have the fire hazard. All of our targets are placed in a place where there's absolutely no brush around them. And we actually have done the opposite. We actually encourage people to bring Wolf and cheapo Eastern European steel-cased ammunition because we have found on our steel that it actually causes far less damage than M193 bullet. A lot of people will bring, surplus M193, Remington, whatever, and this stuff packs a wall up on the steel. First of all, Wolf is underpowered. I've for whatever reason, because it's cheap, it's a little bit slower velocity, and I have found Wolf to actually cause less damage on our steel, even at 50 yards, than M193, which has consistently caused more damage than the other equivalents. Now, M855 green tip, that's out entirely. We don't want that at 2-gun action challenge match either. It does have a steel penetrator. It's not technically AP, but don't bring it, okay? We don't want that, and you should not use that at any match where you're using it on steel. In fact, you shouldn't use that on steel at all. I would even recommend not using M193 on steel if you can avoid it, although it's okay. I've actually said use Wolf. Now, when this bullet change happened, going from a copper jacket, or at least a copper colored jacket, to this silver bullet, a match near us has decided that you may not use these. If they have a silver colored bullet, they believe that it's causing more damage to the steel and splashback than the original Wolf did with the copper colored jackets. So I'm going to test something here. We've got a suppressed M4 with a very cool Gemtech BCG that's suppressor enabled. We're going to get into that in another review. And I'm going to engage my really beat up practice steel target at 20 yards. Now, mind you, do not engage rifle steel at 20 yards. Generally speaking, follow your manufacturer's recommendations for where you should engage steel. Some steel is acceptable and safe at 50 yards, and we do that at 2-gun action challenge match because we buy it from a reputable vendor that makes good steel products with good stands that angle the stuff at the right angles. Some steel is good at 50 yards. Most manufacturers recommend 100, but 50 yards back is generally considered safe as long as you're using proper steel. I'm doing this at 20. I'm going to wear some armor and some helmet, but I'm going to remind you, do not do this at home. What I'm doing here is really just an experiment. Is this steel-colored bullet worse on the steel than the old Wolf, and what happens compared to M193? Let's find out. 16-inch suppressed M forgery, dreaded Wolf, silver bullets. I put 3 of them into this target. Let's see what happens. This is M193, not Wolf. This is legit M193. Different place on the target. See if it looks any different. All right, here we are at the target. These are the 3 rounds that were fired from the Wolf steel colored projectile. These are the M193. Now I'm holding this in relief to the sunlight, so I hope we can see any type of deformation that's occurred. You can see there's a crack in this target. This is an old steel target. It's been through hell, so is what it is. So let's look at the Wolf first. There's a little bit of a pock mark right here. This is at 20 yards. You would expect something to happen with 223 or 556 on steel at 20 yards. You should not be engaging this steel at 20 yards. But this is already pockmarked steel, as you can see. And so it just pockmarked a little bit here. This one has a little bit of an indentation, and this one has absolutely nothing. This did nothing. So, as you shoot steel, the hardened surface starts to wear away, and this happens. You can see it's happened a lot, even at distance. So this is pretty much par for the course. It definitely did not penetrate didn't cause any significant damage that you'd expect from 223 at this distance. Here's the M193. All right, this one pockmarked pretty good. This one is very deep. Actually, this is the deepest. This is almost the deepest one. And then this one right here actually is super deep compared to the other 5, right? So this is M193. This is the Wolf silver colored bullet. And, well, it's kind of consistent with my experience. Well, there it is. It kind of went to my expectations, to be honest with you. The Wolf, even with the steel colored bullet or projectile, did no extra damage, or actually did less damage than the M193 equivalent, which has been exactly what I've experienced at the 2-gun action challenge match for over 10 years. Now, I'm not saying that other people's experiences are wrong, and I'm not saying their policies are wrong, and I'm not saying they should change them. But I really wanted to give it a test and see what the reality was, or at least if I was crazy. And I don't appear to be, and I'm going to go ahead and say, please continue to bring Wolf, even the silver colored projectiles, to the 2-gun action challenge match. But make sure that you follow the rules of whatever match you attend, and make sure you obey their rules. It's their range, their match. So, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of InRange. If you like this kind of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We're trying to make this a full-time deal. If you can't do that, please just subscribe to the channel. Share this with your friends. Thanks a lot.